This is Game Time, coming to you from 734 Games, and today we are playing Dragon Quest XI, Tales of an Allusive Age. And before we get to the fun stuff, my nephew is getting cancer treatments. His Gofundme is in the description. Anything you give would be helpful, and anything that you give to this channel will go to that. Now let's get started with Dragon Quest XI, Tales of an Allusive Age, on the Xbox through Games Pass.
あの子がそうなのか。あのあざがある。間違いあるまい。
Now, for those of you who don't know, Dragon Quest is one of the biggest RPG series in Japan ever. The series started back in 1986. The crazy thing is, this is the old. I'm from here, obviously. I'm from the United States, and this is the second Dragon Quest game that I've played. I have another game in the series on the PS2, and that game is pretty cool. That game is Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King. So I'm not the biggest Dragon Quest guy out there. This is a huge anime series, and they really put a lot of work into this game. This game has basically the soundtrack is just done by the Tokyo Symphony Orchestra. The tracks you're hearing is like all like, obviously it's not real-time orchestra, but it's all pre-recorded orchestra from the Tokyo Symphony Orchestra. And it's actually a lot of music, so they really went all out for this game. The presentation, I mean, the graphics now in this version, I have the PS4 version. I never opened it. And when the Xbox game, I got Games Pass and the Ultimate Games Pass. And when I booted this game up, I said, well, this is coming to Games Pass. Let me try it on Games Pass on my Series X. Or, sorry, my One X. I don't have a Series X. My One X. And I can tell you the game looks beautiful on the One X. And I'm sure it'll look beautiful on the Series X. And, it's just like a they really did a good job making this game look as good as anything on the One X or the Xbox. So this game actually came out first on the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch, but it does not look like a Nintendo Switch game that was just ported over. It looks like they waited a couple years before they put this game on the Xbox, and you can tell they actually put some effort into this port. This is not a sloppy port at all. I mean, you just look at the graphics are beautiful. I recorded this through the Xbox, so I'm hoping you can see how pretty the graphics are on this video. It's not always possible. I mean, I put my videos out on different platforms. I put it out on Bitchute, Odysee, and BitTubers, and obviously those platforms don't have HD. Or actually, BitTubers has HD, but the other two do not have full HD. And although those are Odysee and Bitchute are great, but they, there's just certain features that they lack. Although there's some other cool features about Odysee. So if you're into alt tech and you're looking for alternatives to YouTube, check those sites out. But on YouTube, you really get to see. That's one reason I have a YouTube. I don't really have it for views because I really can't get any views on there. So, but I get more of my views on Bitchute, and the other sites. But as you can, if you go to that link, you're gonna see how pretty much what the game looked like. Although on the One X, I'm actually playing the game in 4K, and I'm recording it in 1080p for you guys. So you get to see in HD how this game looks, and I don't think you'll be disappointed whatsoever. Now, I use the Japanese voice actors. It's kind of like where in Ghost of Tsushima, you can decide if you want to use Japanese voice actors or English voices, the English dub. And the Japanese, when it comes to Japanese titles, the Japanese is always better. It's always better to listen to the Japanese voice track. So that's what I did. And that's what you're seeing is the Japanese voice track, and you're going to see some cutscenes, or I'll probably show you something. And how I always like to show you a little bit of a few of the scenes, and I like to talk through the gameplay so you guys get to see what the game is like. But this is an RPG game, although I would say today, like if you compare it to RPGs today, it has a lot of action-adventure elements to it as well. Like you're running from monsters and stuff, because I played the game a little ways after, after the video stops, obviously. Because I try to show you guys early footage because early on in the game, because I don't want to give away too much, but I want you to see what the game is like. And I know the game does throw some curves at you with the story, but there's some action elements to the game, so it's not all RPG. One thing I think is really cool about it is when you're walking around in your party, you get to see all your party members walking around with you. I think that's kind of cool. And, like, obviously back in the day when they couldn't do that, I mean, okay, they did do that in, like, some games, but it was kind of cheesy looking, obviously, because games were cheesy looking back then. Those old indie games. But, most of the time, even when the games went 3D, they only showed one character. But, once the game started looking better, like in Curse King and other games like that, they usually only had one character, and then you run into something, and then you get into a fight. This game, you can run into the enemies, you can avoid fights, you can level up and stuff. So, I mean, this game does have those RPG mainstays in the game. And it's really pretty, like I said. Really, I mean, they really did a good job with this port. This is a great port. If you've never played a Dragon Quest game, then this is not a bad place to start, especially if you have an Xbox or a PC, because this is on basically on Games Pass Ultimate, and you can play it on PC or on the Xbox. I chose to do it on the PC, but the thing is, I mean, I know everyone's like, oh, PC games look better, but with a game like this, I don't think it could look much better than it does on the One X. And that's pretty much it for this episode of Game Time. This is your host, Tom, signing off from 734 Games, where gaming is alive.
俺の名前は神。